Welcome to the Picks from the Yard podcast. I'm your host, Wayne Salvatore. Just a humble caddy trying to scratch out winners every week for you guys, along with my friends, family, even acquaintances are welcome as long as they provide winners. Now that they've gone and legalized gambling here in Jersey, we're going to provide you with the hot selections every week. Picks from the Yard, Week 11 of the NFL. We're in the final stretch here. We've gotten over the hump of the season. We're starting to see some playoff contenders shake out, but there's still got a long way to go. I'd like to introduce my guest, returning, my co-host, Richard, the Math Whisperer Salvatore.
It's great to be back. There's a chill in the air. This time of year, it's actually very cold out.
Looping
in the Northeast,
is done.
Looping is done, but this is when the football gets serious, right? You have some teams in desperation mode, some teams that look pretty good, and this is when things get serious. So
yeah, I don't have to caddy anymore. I can really focus in on these games.
Okay,
now I really have no excuses. Bill, William, Vivant, Lesko.
Good to be back after a couple of weeks of regrouping. I think Richard's right. It's time to start seeing where the playoffs start shaking out.
And returning, Nick Giello, bartender extraordinaire, actor coming out of retirement. We'll discuss that maybe later. Sorry to throw you for a loop there.
Right under the bus early there. Great to be here. When a fellow Philly guy is down, you got to pick him up. So Dodge is on the DL, and I am all willing to fill in for him.
Yeah, we have to have a Philly guy every week. Especially these Philly fans are all fired up now. The Cowboys look a little shaky.
Listen,
the Eagles are ready.
Sometimes you win by not even trying.
They're ready to pounce. They're ready to roll. So we'll see. Maybe if the Eagles got a tough game this week, maybe we'll talk about that maybe down the line. 6-6 last week. It's practically winning for us. I was actually pretty happy. We started out great with the college games, 3-1, and then we kind of crawled our way to a 500 record. So it's sadly an improvement. 43-77 overall. I again hope the fade is in place for you guys, especially against me, as I went 0-3 once again. 8-22 overall. Alabama decided to not play defense. From what I heard, I was at a wedding. I didn't really get to watch most of the game. I'm bummed I missed it, but LSU kind of handled them pretty easily. Detroit, it was my only excuse. They had to go to their third stringer. Stafford's back was broken. I don't know why they waited till Saturday to tell us that. And then I couldn't even enjoy my Jets beating. I bet on the Giants, and the Jets came through. So mixed feelings on that game. Richard, 2-1, 11-19 overall. He won on Clemson, who rolled. Iowa State. What a game.
Great game. And they could have won that game outright. The coach went for 2 at the end of the game, but they're great. Even when they were down, they're a resilient team. You knew they were going to fight back, and no, that was a great game.
Chance to knock off Oklahoma. I'm bummed I missed it. Again, I was at this wedding. Fantastic time though. And San Francisco was a loser in a wild Monday night game. Great game,
crazy game. But yeah. I had a shot at going 3-0, and the quarterback had a rough game. He really did. Jimmy G kind of looked a little lost in the spotlight, but they still look good for the playoffs.
Wait, no TV at this wedding?
No TV. We were actually in a barn in Massachusetts. No Wi-Fi, no cell phone service. We had to talk to each other.
They wanted your focus.
It was barbaric.
How did anybody under 30 survive?
My poor 35-year-old girlfriend was completely confused. She was also at a table where whatever. I don't want to digress.
I am shocked though. I am shocked. I know whose wedding it was. I'm shocked there wasn't one TV.
Yes, right. Yeah. Well, it's not golf season. So.
That is true.
I was gonna hand him a portable. I got $70. I could have gotten one with an antenna online. I was gonna give it to him on the receiving line. Or my other plan was just to plug it in the men's room and act like I don't know where it came from.
Right.
So we could have enjoyed
Sometimes you got to make do.
Football, but my girlfriend put the kibosh on that one pretty quickly. Storyteller number 1, David, 2-1. He 4-2 overall, not too shabby. He won on Arizona. They had a chance to win outright. That was a great game. Pittsburgh, I argued with him, but he was right. Goff stinks. Pittsburgh was another winner. And I'm not sure what happened to the New Orleans Saints last week.
Someone said that should count as 2 losses. That might be the worst pick of the year, but we'll give them 2-1. That was a terrible.
That was crazy.
A huge favorite. They lose outright to Atlanta. I can't understand that result. I don't.
That knocked me out of my suicide.
A lot of
suicide.
Oh, is that right? Oh,
God,
I can imagine. Yeah.
Wiped out.
Yes.
Adam Wade 2-1. 5-1 overall. He's pretty
Wade is
solid.
good, man.
Yes.
Very good, and inches away from going 3-0.
So,
are we going to talk?
Ohio State, we'll start with. He said they were going to win by 50, so he actually should get a twofer for that one, as they covered the 42.5 and the 50. If you went alternate line, genius call by Wade. Cleveland was a winner, but that was a real, that was quite a battle for those who watched. I think they're both trying to lose. And Carolina, come on.
They were right there. They were right there.
Cameras.
And on the show, he quoted Bruce Springsteen lyrics. And in the lyrics, it was about Wisconsin. And I'm ready for him to pick Green Bay. I'm like, and then he picked Carolina. But I guess you can't argue with genius. He's 5-1. He's had the best record. He could have went 6-0, inches away.
I still say
Carolina was
McCaffrey
right
had that
there.
ball.
They were
I
right
thought
there.
so, too.
They were right there. There's a rumor out there that those guys are going to start their own podcast that'll involve football picks and I think cat talk and a heavy dose of Bruce Springsteen lyrics. So we'll see if
Perpetual
that happens.
bickering.
Right. Well, there you go.
Parlay, loser. Detroit, loser. Arizona, loser. Carolina, loser. Enough said. Let's get it back this week. We turned a slight corner, guys. We have to have a winning week here. This is getting desperado time. Let's do it.
Anything, anyone, I'm a freak. Don't dress like
The big story this week: the Houston Astros cheat. I mean, a picture on the Astros, Mike Fiers. Just Google Astros cheating. The article I pulled up says, "We cheated during championship season." Pretty cut and dry. The guy was on the team, and they're stealing signals, but which is part of the game, I guess, if you do it with with guys eyeballing it. But they really took it to an extreme.
No, the electronics is totally out of bounds.
Cameras,
Very Belichickian.
and calling it in, and somebody was banging on a garbage. It involved like high tech and then garbage pail banging.
But that was happened during this playoffs. The Yankees were bitching about them.
About the
Screaming
Astros?
about the Astros, whistling and banging during
It's
pitches.
amazing that a guy came out. He's still in the league.
He's still in the league, too.
and he was on the winning team and just killed him, threw him under the bus. I mean, it sounds damning evidence. I think there's 3 other guys saying, but it gets to like a discussion. Like, what is the point of is that satisfying if you win by cheating? Then are you really the best team? I mean, it's like I know this.
The money might have part to do with
Well,
that.
I
Yeah,
know
the money-
there's
the money might help,
involved,
I mean.
but aren't they all making plenty of money?
And they're not going to take away that World Series that they have either.
Asterisk
it's-
time. It just
Right.
like
It's not
gets
like
me-
a college team. You could take the title away.
Right. No- no
you can't-
vacating the
no
championship.
vacating a
Exactly.
championship.
Yeah. No, but players use steroids and corking the bat, down the line. So I think there's a it's a fine line between having an edge and cheating, and I think they crossed that line. And Belichick back in the day would do whatever it would take, filming other teams' practices, and so I wasn't completely surprised. And there've been rumors about this for a few years of teams doing this, and the Astros specifically. And sometimes when you're watching a game, there'll be no one on second base, and the catcher will still go through many signs as if they realize something's going on. So I think teams have been aware of it.
Sure. Yeah, everybody's looking for an edge, and all this obviously goes a little further. But I don't understand this guy coming out now and talking about it. To me, it's like he's talking about Fight Club. Like, if you retire and you want to write a book or something like that, but you're still in the league, and guess what? He's not giving back his World Series ring or his World Series bonus or anything like that. So
it is kind of odd. I don't know what prompted him. I don't know what something. I didn't get.
I don't know where it came from.
The story's just kind of breaking. So I guess there'll
His
be
thing
more
was
to come. But
his rationale was that he saw these like young guys coming up and
he
getting
did,
getting back to the minors. I don't know whether that's real or not, but that was his.
that was his art, which is very.
But he's
valid.
lucky. He's lucky he doesn't have to hit in the AL though, because I do think something would be going right at his head against the Astros, because they're the same division too. He plays for the A's, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be something when they play each other.
Oh, it's gonna be interesting. I just peg somebody, Houston. It's been a bad time for Houston recently. I mean, Garrett Cole's on his way out. They lose the World Series. and now you're
that
now,
assistant general manager getting fired.
Oh yeah, I even forgot about that
Yeah,
guy.
they just had the general. I saw one of them use the guy saying it hasn't been a great couple weeks.
Nah.
I would. I mean, if one of my teams ever won, I guess I could understand the feeling of is it satisfying if they cheated, but I don't know how. Since my teams never do, maybe my teams should be cheating. The teams I root for, I'm not sure.
Or cheating better.
Listen, Lane Johnson gets suspended like every other year, but I'll take that Super Bowl though. So.
It's a fine line between gamesmanship and cheating. In the college football rankings, Penn State briefly edged into the fourth spot and then promptly got soundly beaten by Minnesota. Another game I missed. The college games were great this weekend, and it's looking like it's going to be, it's going to be a great playoff. LSU, it was two big games this weekend. And now we'll see what happens. I mean, the fourth spot wide open.
Wide open. And if you want to bet a future, if you think you know who's going to get that fourth spot, you can get some juicy odds. The first three teams, that seem to be locked in are all around plus 250. You were saying, Willie, right?
250, 275. It looked like.
Right. So it looks like LSU, Ohio State, and Clemson have a clear run to the playoffs, but that fourth spot is pretty wide open right now. And you can get some juicy odds. And it's interesting because before the season, it's all Clemson and Alabama. And now it's it's mixed up because LSU and Ohio State have had really good years and they look good. And Clemson, is, in a weird way, they're a little bit of an underdog coming in. And I kind of like that. I think the coach will use that. And I would even look to bet them, even though they're only like plus 250, because they have the easiest run to the playoff.
Will Bama get a pass? I mean, can they just not? They didn't play anybody all year, and then they really, I guess, got handled by LSU. I mean, I know the score was close, but from what I hear,
LSU looked a lot better than them. Burrows,
they really
awesome.
did. Yeah,
the team. And normally I'm at the Pac-12 bashing, but I heard today. I knew that they played. Oregon played Auburn week 1, which they don't really need to schedule that game. And they got it was a bad beat. I forgot. I didn't realize it was 9. They led the game until there was 9 seconds to go in the game, and they're undefeated since. And I mean, they deserve. I know
if it's a one-loss Oregon team who's the champion of the Pac-12, or I guess even if Oklahoma were to run the table, but I hope they don't. But I don't know how you put Alabama in over them. They're not even going to get to their championship game unless something major happens. But they love to push. Alabama, the eye test, or the Saban, the history, but they haven't. Texas A&M's their best win right now.
And at least they're on the outside looking in right now, though. At least they're number 5.
Yeah,
so.
It's going to be a wild finish. Yeah. Never ever disappoints.
I'd love to see Minnesota run the table, though. That would be awesome.
I got them yesterday at 150-1 on points bet. You still get them 100-1 or like 80-1 on different sites.
I'll take that action. I'll give you 200-1. We'll discuss after.
And then
$20, Mr.
And then
Bubba
PJ Fleck to Notre Dame right after that.
All right, without further ado, let's jump into the picks this week. Hopefully, I can turn my personal stats around. I'm going to start out by taking the Dallas Cowboys. They're going into Detroit. They're laying 4.5. And Stafford's out. Detroit was down to their third string last week. Dallas, it's kind of in a pattern. I didn't check every single game, but they gave up 14 to start the game to Minnesota. Then they were winning the rest of the way. I feel like they kind of like don't. At the beginning of these games, I don't know if it's Garrett or what. They're not like quite ready, but they should go into Detroit and this should be an easy win for them. Under 1 score, I'll take it. Lay the 4.5.
They're in a situation now where they really need to win too. I mean, and they should be able to handle Detroit. All right, for my first pick, I'm picking a college game. I'm taking Auburn plus 2.5 against Georgia. I have a futures bet on Georgia to win the national title, but I like the spot that Auburn is in here, and Auburn they've been good. So I'll give you a stat. The last 6 years, they're rarely a home dog. The last 6 years, they've been a home dog 7 times. They're 7-0 against the spread, 5 outright wins, including 2 wins versus Alabama, 1 versus Georgia, and 1 versus LSU. They are a really good home dog. They've had a solid year. They really don't have a chance to get in the playoffs. So this is their chance to play spoiler this game and the game against Alabama. And I think they're going to come out all fired up, and I like them as a home dog. So take Auburn in the 2.5.
For my first pick, I'm taking the Buffalo Bills. Did not look so good last week against Cleveland, but they still were in that game. And they're playing Miami, and I know Miami won 2 games. One of them was against the Jets.
One of the
I don't know
hottest
why.
teams in the league.
know,
Yeah,
yeah.
2-game winning streak.
I don't know how they're only a 5.5 point underdog.
Killed my other suicide pool too.
Is Fitzmagic going against his former? He already robbed the Bills of a lot of cash.
He took
Is
about
he
$100
gonna
million from the Bills.
Yeah, is he gonna stick it to him one last time?
I don't see it. I just think Buffalo's way better than Miami. I don't understand why the point spread's so low, and even if it's in Miami, I don't care. I like Buffalo.
Okay, for my first pick, I'm going to take the Chicago Bears.
Oof.
Getting 6.5
Mitch
at the Rams.
Trubisky.
Gotta have faith in Mitch. This is a matchup of two teams that maybe struggling a bit or up and down. The Bears did get a win last week. I do think that the Bears have a very solid defense. Hopefully, keep it close and just hopefully Trubisky doesn't ruin it.
Goff kind of stinks too. I argued for the Rams last week, but I've been turned around. They're really really looking pathetic this year. I don't know what
The offensive line is decimated, and Goff needs everything to be perfect to do well. And Gurley doesn't seem like he cares. I hate to say that, but he just
and
even McVay, a little bit of the shine has come off McVay a little bit, from the Super Bowl and all. He, part of being a great innovative coach is kind of getting your team through some tough spots, and he hasn't done that.
I don't know
figured
how
out
much
all
it
his
is this
tricks.
year. Last year they had a stat that he ran out of the same set 80% of the time, which is the same thing McAdoo did with the Giants, and they had great first years. And not
everybody
so good
in the
second
downhill.
years.
Caught on to him. The Bears should have a field day against this banged up offensive line. I kind of like this pick. I'm going to go to college for my second pick. I'm going to take the Baylor Bears. They're a 10-point home dog. They're undefeated, and the rank they get kind of screwed on the ranking here. They're not even in the top 10. What did you say? They're the lowest?
They're the lowest ranked 9-0 team in the history of the college football playoffs.
Ranked 13th. Complete disrespect. Oklahoma already lost to K-State, and I shouldn't say should have. They almost lost to Iowa State last week, so they are not as dominant as people thought at the beginning of the year. And Baylor's got to come out. 10-point home dog, undefeated.
This is everything for Baylor.
This is a big.
You got to win this game.
This will be a great game. I see Baylor maybe even throw a little on the money line.
I agree. I think, and just like Minnesota in the spot last week, where Minnesota was getting no respect and they had a big game and they showed up big, it's the same exact thing for Baylor. This is a big game for them, and they're getting no respect, and they're getting 10 points at home, and they've been very good. They're good as a dog, and I like that coach. So
Matt-
I like
Matt
this pick.
Rule.
You're an
Yeah,
undefeated
it's great.
team in a major conference, and
That's
no
right.
one cares.
And no one
That's right.
cares.
Exactly.
Matt Rule won at Temple, so he can coach.
That's right. He
can
did. He
coach.
really changed that program. All right, I'm going to pick for my second pick. I'm picking another college game. I don't know how Nick Giello is going to feel about this, but I am taking Navy, getting 8.5 on the road in South Bend against Notre Dame.
Whoa.
So, here's the thing. Navy's having a very good year. This is a big game for them, and they've classically good as an underdog, and Notre Dame's had a disappointing season, and last year Notre Dame was good throughout the year, but it used to be Notre Dame would have the November swoon into December where near the end of the year they wouldn't play well, and I think they're back into that situation again, and they've already lost 2 games. They have no shot at getting in the playoff, and I just see this as a game where Navy's going to be motivated and Notre Dame not so much. So I say take Navy in the 8.5 points.
I actually love that pick.
Actually, I kind of like Notre Dame, honestly.
Do you
One thing-
really?
Yeah, but the
I
one
love
thing I
you,
really
Willie.
hate about this game is when you turn on the TV, they have the same colors. And I never know which team's which in the first play.
Very
Yeah, very confusing. I'm like, there's a
actually do.
bomb,
They
and I don't know
actually
whether I
do.
want the guy to catch it or drop it.
Right. That is, I never thought of that. But 8.5. I still think Notre Dame wins. Navy is very difficult to play against. They are better this year than they were last year when Notre Dame, I believe, beat them by 22. Notre Dame lost a Quara last week. They lost 2 offensive linemen the week before, and Ian Book sometimes looks like a JV high school quarterback. So not a bad pick.
For my second pick, I'm going to take the Jacksonville Jaguars with Nick Foles back.
The return, Minshew.
Minshew Magic's
Minshew
gone.
Madness is gone.
Blazing
sadly.
Comet.
Minshew Magic's gone. Little Uncle Rico's nephew's back. And I know you're not sure who's going to play quarterback for Indy right now. Some of the sites don't even have a lineup, but I
guess
did get them
speculating Brissett might be back.
back. Yeah, but I think even a Brissett, Brissett that not full strength is not that great. But the real key to this game is the running on both sides. Jacksonville has a great running game. I think they're like 4.8 yards a carry. Colts Colts run defense is mediocre at best against the run. And on the converse side, though, Mac's been playing well, and Jacksonville's run defense isn't that great either. But I just think Jacksonville wins outright, not just covers.
Indy looked pathetic last week. I kind of like this play.
Okay, for my second pick, I'm going to go with the Chiefs giving 4 to the Chargers. I do think it's a little bit of a bounce-back game for the Chiefs.
Blunders at the end of that game. They should have won and covered.
Yeah.
It was messy.
Yeah, a bad showing last week. So need to bounce back. Look for, Mahomes, hopefully get a little bit more settled. Big game out of him. Put some points up. Andy Reid is 23-2 since 2015 against the AFC West. Also, little known fact as well, Andy Reid is undefeated in Mexico City.
Wow. Have they played there?
They have never played there, but he is undefeated in Mexico City. So I'm looking for him to keep that rolling.
Rivers looked a little tuckered out. He might be putting out the pasture at this point. I kind of like this play, KC, only laying 4.
Yeah, he looked bad.
That's going to be an interesting game. What's really interesting, though, is if San Diego wins that AFC West is crazy.
Oh, it's crazy.
Right.
That is true.
Yeah.
Very true. I mean, the Oakland's only half game back, right?
Yeah, Oakland's a half game
right
back.
there.
And if Kansas City loses,
Right.
then San Diego's up there, too.
And San Diego's right there, too. Yeah.
I'm taking Baltimore this week, -4.5. They took care of New England. They rolled last week. Lamar Jackson looks like the real deal. I didn't believe it. Nobody can touch this guy. I feel like he's, he gets drilled, but he seems like he's unreal, and he's playing. Deshaun Watson is also having it. You're talking about 2 potential MVPs of the league battling it out. Baltimore is laying 4.5. It makes me a little nervous. I wouldn't mind getting it down a little bit, but I feel like Houston's been a little bit more Jekyll and Hyde this year, and Baltimore seems to just be cruising along. Yeah. This is a rematch. They played against each other in college. It was one of the greatest games I ever watched. It was they put up 78 points. Louisville, Clemson. Clemson won. Louisville got down right down to they were down 6 driving. It got stopped the yard short of a first down. If you just click it, just Google it, you can see the highlights. But it was crazy.
And their stats.
Insane. The numbers they put up were nuts. Yeah. And I don't know. I just feel like the rest of the team, Baltimore's team, seems a little more.
Yeah, I think Baltimore's a better team, but I think I'd be on Houston in this one. But this is the game of the week.
Oh,
watching those 2 guys.
Unbelievable.
I think Watson. People forget 2 years ago before he got hurt. Watson was Mahomes before Mahomes.
He was the story of the year.
Right.
Yeah.
These 2 quarterbacks are tremendous athletically, obviously, but also there's a great leadership quality to both of them, which I think is something you need as a quarterback. So it should be great to watch.
There's a great little clip, if you find on YouTube, of Harbaugh talking to Jackson on the sideline, saying how kids are going to be wearing the number 8 for the next 20 years. It's really great if you ever.
It's so awesome to watch this guy. He is something.
All right. For my third pick, I'm going to pick the Steelers. Thursday night game against the Browns. They're getting 2.5.
Cleveland's favored?
I know. How the Browns are favored is beyond
insanity.
me. And the Steelers have been piecing together wins week after week. We've picked them a bunch of times on the podcast, and they've really come through.
Resilient. Their defense looks.
Their defense, they put a lot of pressure on Goff, and I think I see them doing the same thing against Mayfield, and I could see some defensive touchdowns. Here, and I like them. And Cleveland, they've had, I think, 3 wins now. And the other 2 times they won, the next week they came up flat. And they're one of these young teams, and the coach is not very good, and they have a short week. And I really like Pittsburgh for a number of reasons. I say take them as a dog.
What's the over-under on Minka Fitzpatrick interceptions? Like 1.5?
Yeah, that would be a good thing to look into betting.
I just want to know how many cleat changes Cleveland will have.
Cleveland's latest story is I guess he's a little nervous about Pittsburgh's D coming down. He's another delicate, I wouldn't call him a genius. He wants silence on offense. He wants
Baker?
The crowd. Yeah, Baker needs silence now.
Bunch of divas over there.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, he wants silence, and he says, from his own fans, but does he realize that Pittsburgh, there are a lot of Pittsburgh fans who are going to to go to that game.
That is true. It's
And the
very
Pittsburgh
close.
fans are reading that, and they're
Right.
gonna be like, okay, that's what you want? All right, here we go. So I don't know why he said that publicly.
You know what's interesting though is Cleveland has one of the most intense, grittiest fan bases, and then they have these prima donnas on their team who care about their cleats. They want to
definite
show up with a
mismatch.
beard and then have a Fu Manchu and then have
The
it's
guy's
like
shaving 3 times a
Oh
game.
my
He's
God.
worry about completing a pass.
unbelievable. Just play the game and try to win.
For my last pick, I'm going to take the Carolina Panthers. I thought they played well last week
Oh,
at Green
so
Bay.
good.
And
in the snow, that was a great.
Yeah, and I love watching McCaffrey play. I loved watching him late night at Stanford. I still love watching him play.
He's a beast, stud.
I was waiting for Atlanta to turn it around for the first 5 weeks of the season. It cost me a lot of money, and then they finally win a game last week, which I cannot understand.
The game cannot.
The only thing that
fathom.
worries me a little bit is if that pass rush is real, even though they had half their sacks last week for the whole season.
Yeah, Breeze was getting knocked around a bunch.
I think they almost should have brought in Bridgewater in the
I
in
know, it's
Hall,
crazy, yeah.
but anyway, I like Carolina home 5.5 points and a superior team.
Atlanta stinks. I just throw last week out. I agree with this pick 100. I don't know. I don't even know. I want to try to figure out what happened last week.
That was a
They're
mess.
one of the worst teams in the league.
All right. And my lock of the week.
Oh boy.
I cannot believe I am going this route, but sometimes there's money in slop.
Oh God.
And I will take the Jets.
Do we have to talk about them every week?
Of
Can we
course.
just not pick the Jet
You
game?
wear a Jets hat in your picture here, man. You are Mr. Jet.
We won last week. I can only wear this stuff as
Well,
a
the
small
Jets won, but
windows.
it's a
The Jets
podcast.
won.
We've been on the wrong side of the Jets
Yeah.
game 4 weeks in a row
gotta
now.
believe-
So
Still
hopefully this
picking
will
it.
change.
I mean, listen, the mono is gone. They're getting 1.5. Washington is a mess.
I do like actually Haskins is starting for Washington, so I don't.
I kind of like that pick. The Jets are 1-1 in toilet bowls so far this
Yeah,
year, so we'll see how they how it runs
Their
out.
rush defense is actually pretty good. The Jets. I hate to give them any sort of compliments. So forcing Haskins to pass the ball should. I mean, come on. The Jets should kill these guys.
You would think,
I'm tired. I'm
yes.
blue in the face. I can't
but a good thing for Jets fans, you may be the best of the worst.
And well,
So that's
They
pretty
did lose
good.
to Miami.
There's
That's
two-
true. They did lose to Miami. So, all right, you're in there. You're in the mix.
You're in the mix. I like this pick. I do. And there's that story about a couple of the Jets talking about playoffs.
saw Sam
And if
Darnold
ever was
saying-
there a time for that Mora quote to come back, playoffs.
Yeah.
But I like it for
Sam
this
Darnold,
reason.
if we run the table, we're gonna make
Right.
the
Yeah.
play.
That's
I know.
like
I think it's
Bubba saying he's going to have a winning record this year.
Exactly. But for this week, I kind of like it because it
it's
gives them motivation in a game that otherwise it might be a letdown game. So I think, and the Redskins
They're
are
engaged.
terrible.
Yeah.
They're engaged. So I think for that reason, it doesn't bother me because they're thinking that. They're crazy, but let them think that. And
it's
I
better
do
than
like
guys who have checked out already, which is
Exactly.
what a lot of teams
That's
start
right.
doing.
Along with the fans who have checked out.
Yeah.
All right, the money line underdog parlay. Let's try to eke out a winner here. We're in the double digits season wise, week 11. So hopefully one of these will come through. I'm gonna take Pittsburgh to beat Cleveland, Jacksonville to beat Indy. Both very possible, and then one longer shot, but. Jared Goff stinks. The Bears defense just show up, please, and beat the Rams. I see that these three is a definite possibility, and that's going to pay a juicy 19-1.
I like that the big one is the Sunday night game, too, because hopefully those first two you'll get in, and then you can really enjoy the Sunday night game. And maybe hedge a little bit if you want, but I think Chicago could win.
Come into Carpe Diem and root on our money line parlay with the bartender.
I found someone who wants me despite what
Clegg's Corner is yet on another. Soccer's on another international break. I can't quite figure this out, but
What's up with these Europeans?
they don't even take a break. I don't know why they. I guess break is a good term, but I
break is
guess they go and play for their. So.
Oh, okay.
Clegg's Corner deserve it bye week for Clegg's Corner. Sorry, that's really been our only winner every week, but we'll get back into it. Will return next week with some soccer winners for us. A quick recap of our picks this week. I'm taking Dallas -4.5, Baylor +10, and Baltimore -4. Richard's going with Auburn +2.5, Navy +8.5, and Pittsburgh +2.5. Nick is rolling with Chicago +6.5, Kansas City -4, and the New York Jets +1.5.
You gotta believe.
And Bill Lesko, Buffalo -6, Jacksonville +3, and the Carolina Panthers -5.5. The underdog moneyline parlay: Jacksonville, Pittsburgh, and Chicago. And we do it every week. We plugged all 12 teams in. It usually comes out to about the same number. And this week on DraftKings, the 12 teams with the point spread pays a nice $2,519 to 1. We'll keep throwing a little bit of money at this.
Yes.
Why not? I mean,
Hey,
we almost went 0-12.
We almost went 0-12, so it's like the same odds.
That's true.
Right?
It can happen.
Exactly.
Start doubling up.
Yeah.
happen in reverse. Anything we want to plug this week?
I got nothing to plug. I got nothing going on this week.
I just
Nothing.
want to replug my Minnesota Golden Gophers. Let's go for the whole Minnesota sweep with the Vikings and the Gophers.
Lesko's on board. What odds did you get on them?
I got them up to 150 to 1. You still get 100 to 1, 80 to 1 there.
I think after this week, they have a decent, pretty easy schedule. So
After
the
this
real,
week, they're underdogs this week, so still no respect. And then they have Northwestern and Wisconsin, who's not that easy, because Wisconsin's had a little off year.
The big thing will be beating Ohio State in the.
Well, that's the
right.
whole.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
man.
the
Like I
whole
said,
thing.
if we beat
betting
Iowa,
on, basically,
Wisconsin,
but
I
that's
tell you-
pretty good odds on that.
If they both show up there undefeated, what a storyline that's going to be.
that'll
Holy
be
cow.
Great.
Awesome.
That'll be great.
I'm going to plug my brother's birthday bash this weekend. Anybody's out wants to...
Oh, was that this week?
That's this weekend.
You
Richard's,
realize that's coming up.
Richard's
Really?
birthday.
Oh, man.
We're gonna have dinner, of course. But after
It was on Hoboken
dinner,
Girl, wasn't it? I thought. Yeah.
Was it on
Yeah,
Hoboken?
you were the man of the
Oh,
week.
man.
If you want to grab some drinks, maybe gamble on some late night college football Saturday night, and pop in O'Neill's. The disco ball will be lit up because there's also a good likely chance to see Richard attempt to dance off against our producer's wife. It's a
man.
yearly
I don't know.
tradition.
Well, I wanna
Very
see video.
unlikely. I think
Yeah.
that's now plus 400. It used to be like minus 150, but now it's. I think it's a
by.
dog.
I
But
gotta see
we'll
videos.
see. It
We can-
depends on the intake of beverages.
We-
I think
Put that on the website.
I think we can get this guy to dance.
Yeah,
if
the
we,
shots dance parlay.
feed him enough drinks. Big birthday. Happy birthday, Richard.
Thank you.
birthday.
Thank you.
I want to thank everybody for coming back. Richard, co-host, my brother.
Thank you.
Will Bon Vivant Lesko, Minnesota's #1 fan.
Minnesota squared, baby.
And our big Eagles fan, Nick Giello, Philly fan, representing
Yes.
as much as possible.
Let's
here.
hope the Birds show up this week.
I'd love for them to beat the
That would be-
Patriots, please.
Everybody's got to be rooting for the Birds outside of Boston, I think.
That would be great. Well, enjoy the football this weekend and get involved. If you liked what you heard, please subscribe. We're on Apple, Android, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also subscribe at our website, picksfromtheyard.com. Visit the website for all of our archived and bonus episodes and more content. For comments, criticisms, and challenges to Wayne, email us at pftypod@gmail.com, and we'll be sure to get back to you. Join the conversation on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We're at PFTYPod on social media. Remember, gambling on sports is entertainment. Please don't overdo it. If you or someone you know is in over their head, call 800-GAMBLER for help. The Picks from the Yard podcast is produced by Van Vorst Films in Hoboken, New Jersey. Our music is Anticipation by the Gefkins. Check them out on Spotify. We'll be back next week. Get involved.